On behalf of the entire team at Images Retail Middle East, a very warm welcome to our remarkable speakers and the almost 500 of you who have joined us today. To all of you who don't know me, I am Justina Eitzinger, the Chief Operating Officer at Images Retail Middle East. Staying true to our mission to be the most valuable retail intelligence and knowledge platform, we are delighted to present our second virtual roundtable focusing on accelerating digital transformation, powered by Brandquad. As dynamic shifts are reshaping the retail industry, digital transformation is now non-negotiable. With advancement in technology and digital enablement, the consumer has been seeking a channel-agnostic experience, which is now more pronounced than ever. The COVID-19 pandemic has only accelerated the digital transformation goals for most retailers, encompassing all areas from e-commerce to customer relationship management, supply chain management, inventory management, and leveraging the power of data. From a report published in October of 2019, IDC, the International Data Corporation, estimated that the global spend on digital transformation will reach $2.3 trillion by 2023. Will it surprise us if we reach this number much sooner? Food for thought. On that note, it is now my pleasure to introduce our speakers. I'll start with Ohan. He is the founder and chief executive of KRUSH Brands that not only boasts a rich food and beverage brand portfolio, but also proprietary digital, online ordering, operating, and delivery platform. Our next speaker, Isobel Abulhoul, is the co-founder of the oldest bookstore chain in the UAE, Magrudy's, beloved by many of us, which has been at the forefront of digital adoption over the past 45 years, thereby remaining relevant to its customers. Our next speaker, Phillip Smith, is the group head of digital for Kamal Osman Jamjoom Group, leading digital transformation for some of the region's most dynamic and favorite homegrown brands like Early Learning Center, Mikiaji, and Naomi, to name a few. Our next speaker, Rania Masri, is the Chief Transformation Officer for luxury retailer Chalhoub Group that houses brands under both a JV and franchise model. Brands such as Louis Vuitton, Carolina Herrera, Lacoste are among a few of them. Rania leads the organization-wide digital transformation agenda. Moderating the session this afternoon is Katia Kachan, the general manager at Brandquad MENA. This is an organization that supports the retail industry in its digital transformation journey. Katia has a wealth of experience in luxury, fashion, retail, and tech companies. After receiving an MBA from INSEAD in 2016, she moved to Dubai, where she has built a cross-border innovation hub for retail tech. Katia, please take the floor to start and steer what promises to be an insightful discussion, and I will join you at halftime and at the end to take a few questions. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Justina. Hi, everyone. You hear me properly, right? Everything is great. That's fantastic. So tech is working. That's great already. Well, it's a pleasure to be here and have an opportunity to discuss with our featured speakers the acceleration of digital transformation of retail in MENA. This topic was brought into highlight by the COVID-19 pandemic, which is simultaneously an unprecedented health crisis and also a global economic shock. And although retail companies moved quickly to address public health needs, such as store closures or implementation of social distances in public spacing, or even reducing the risks for the delivery, no one in the industry has actually foreseen the intensity of this crisis. And after almost 3 months of strict anti-pandemic measures, it's clear that some brands and retailers unfortunately won't survive. Some players on the other side will find that they are better equipped than the competitors, largely because of their digital know-how. Whether a company is well positioned for the future seems now to depend on digital and analytics capabilities. And I would like to highlight that digital is not only an increasingly important sales channel like e-commerce, it can also help companies adapt cost structures and make each step of their value chain better, cheaper, and faster. And the fundamental enabler of all this is indeed data. Introducing advanced analytics tools fuels innovative ways of customer acquisition, and it also helps predict and manage inventory to create a more resilient supply chain. At Brandquad, which is a digital product data collaboration platform, we help retailers and brands in both improvement of the e-commerce performance and big data analytics. We have built a product data management platform that automates and accelerates the process of online product listing and of course ensures the quality of digital shelves, which is an ultimate driver for customer conversion rates. On top of that, we also analyze the online performance of digital shelves, providing an in-depth analysis and benchmarking on how products perform in terms of pricing, stock availability, assortment optimization, or even customer ratings and reviews. And having worked with the international brands and retailers across Europe, the CIS zone, and the Middle East for 5 years, we have actually seen an increase in the awareness of the need for digital transformation, which is hugely fueled by COVID. And in the Middle East in particular, COVID exacerbated challenging long-term retail environment. In April only, we saw retail sales across different industries plummeting to 85 and 90%. However, if we think on the other side, all retail stores being closed, it means that e-commerce channel, if before it was only 1 to 2% of the total sales, now e-commerce represents up to 2% of the retail sales. The major question is actually whether the local players are ready for this imposed digitization. And together with Retail Middle East, we decided to set up this panel discussion and actually help together with our business leaders who are present at this webinar, help to set up the structure for the successful digital transformation, and also to set up the key success factors that will help players across MENA to move forward with digitization. I'm very happy to welcome you all. And prior to give the floor to our speakers, I would like actually to do a small poll to understand who is in our audience. So please, can we set up the first question?
Yes, I'm launching it now.
So you can see the question, what is your activity? Either you are a brand, mall operator, multi-sector retailer, e-commerce marketplace, food and beverage, or any other industry. So please just vote on that. And while our audience is voting, I would like to ask our honorable speakers in 3 words. So basically, when you hear digital transformation, you know, we speak about it for a long time now. So for you, what does that mean? So Isobel, maybe you can start.
Digital transformation for me means creative adaptation.
Fantastic, that's great. And we are looking forward to hearing more during our session. Rania, would you like to continue?
Yeah, I think you caught me off guard here. I would say innovation, I would say diversity, and I would say agility.
Okay, fantastic. Ian, from your perspective, from the entrepreneur's perspective, what is digital?
Thank you. I'm not a man of few words, but I'll do my best. But for me, digital transformation is creating a backbone that becomes part of your business. So it's an internal skeleton for your business.
Okay, fantastic. And we have Phillip.
Hi. Yeah, I think in 3 words, it's test, learn, and iterate. It's about getting started and learning and iterating as you go along.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you very much. It's very insightful, and it gave our audience time to vote. So do we have the results ready?
Yes. So I'll end the poll now.
Okay.
I'm sharing the results.
Yes, so basically the other is almost the majority, so it's very, I'm now curious well, who are in the audience. So we have 1/5 of the audience that are brands, 6% are mall operators and multi-sector retailers. So if we end up basically also 1/5 are the operators on the retailer side. 5% are e-commerce marketplace, and food and beverage represent 8%. So thank you very much. It will actually help us to move our conversation towards the interested points for our audience. And we will start first with the question, is retail in the Middle East ready for this imposed digitization? And you know, the digital transformation journey has not started with COVID-19. And I'm very happy to have with us Rania Masri, the Chief Transformation Officer of Chalhoub Group, for whom digital transformation actually started in 2018 with the initiative called Shift. Right, Rania? So could you please explain to us what's behind Shift, and actually how did you put customer experience in the center of this digital transformation? Oh,
hi, Katia. Thank you. Yeah. I see we have Patrick with us too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, Patrick.
So, first of all, thank you for having me. I think the question is coming up a lot nowadays, and I've reflected a lot about what is digital transformation in the times of COVID. And I think COVID is so new for all of us. So what I will start is to say, to update you a little bit on what the Chalhoub Group has done, with the initiative of transformation until date. And we are, our original aspiration and our original move to transform was based on a need and based on the evolving change that we were seeing, not only into the customer behavior through society, but also our employees and our people. So very much like Ian was saying, we understood that we needed to create a backbone for our organization to always stay relevant with the times. And what we said is our vision was to transform from being a traditional retailer within the Middle East to becoming a hybrid retailer that is at the fingertips of customers everywhere. And that today is really the most relevant part, is to say that we have, entered this very, very, unprecedented time, and, nobody wishes that we were in these times. But we could say that we have entered with having created this backbone for the organization to be able to empower our teams to empower our teams to work better, but also most importantly, to be able to stay very connected with our customer wherever she or he is. So this is a very general overview.
Yes, Rania, thank you very much. And I remember that back to our INSEAD Global Luxury Forum in 2018, you've mentioned one phrase of one of the CEOs, the US-based retailers, that actually impressed me a lot, that in the post-Amazon era, retail cannot compete on proximity, selection, and price. Experience is the only way to win. So that's, I believe that, and knowing very well what is happening in Chalhoub Group, because we are working with, for instance, your concept store level shoes, helping them to improve their online performance, right? To construct the effective website. I do understand that this customer experience is really in the DNA of the digital transformation. And the other question that I have to you is with regards to COVID-19. So it, of course, changed our customer experience. It's changed us as customers because, we are not looking at the entertainment now when we are going to a shopping mall, for instance. I don't know if you have gone to a Dubai mall nowadays. So basically,
yes, I have. Yeah.
So it's a bit sad, but still, you feel that things are moving. Although with masks, it's a pleasure to go to a shopping store. So as a Chalhoub Group, what did you implement, as this short-term measures to actually help us as customers still to maintain this customer experience? And also in terms of your business, we know that everyone is now in a challenging situation with the sales plummeting, by 90%. So what did you do in order not to kill this innovation? Did you implement any measures, to actually maintain this drive towards digital transformation, although there is this short-term, lack of cash?
Okay, so I'm going to answer your first part of the question because there's many parts to it. But let me say, first of all, how we were able to keep our customer experience. And I think a very important point that you've made is that we have worked our transformation with the customer in mind. And, the very used, CX methodology, etc., is very nice in papers and in lectures, but what does it really mean, And throughout the few years, we were able to, as an organization, really, upskill our teams and work with our brands on defining what is that experience unique to each one of our brands, because there isn't just one experience, with always keeping in mind that we need to offer the diversity of options for our customers. And with COVID today, what COVID has done is that it has accelerated the adoption, both internally from our people and externally from our customers, to these tools. Today we have, launched more than 20 sites, and some of them were launched and accelerated since COVID. So that mindset of our employees and that entrepreneurial spirit that's at the core of the company today, it's one of our main values, has really come to play within COVID, because it said, you know what, our stores are closed. We're not going to sit and wait. Our customers still want to engage with us. Our employees still want to work. They still want to find solutions. So we really tapped into this. Now, had we started this before COVID? Absolutely. But before the transformation, the group is a very entrepreneurial group that has gone through ups and downs. Probably nobody has gone through anything like COVID, which is a global, situation. However, customer experience today has really been at the top of all our minds. So launching our e-commerce platforms and making sure that we can service our customers the best we can, but also re-engaging our employees that today were at home because the stores were closed, and getting their best, if you want, human capabilities, which are clienteling, speaking to our customers, be engaged with the customer through the tools that we gave them to do, but also through the training. So we don't disregard that there's a human interaction that remained within our core, even post-COVID and even at home. And lastly, our teams have really embraced technology, and the fact that we've seen, and that is not discriminating age or discriminating experience. Everybody started working from home and everybody started doing it really efficiently, and we've all really started finding ways and innovating in that front. Now, the other part of your question, and I think it's about innovation, the part on innovation, and I think, Katia, more than anyone because you are leading Brandquad. Brandquad, the company that Katia is leading, was part of our first program of accelerators within the greenhouse, which is the arm of the Chalhoub group for innovation, through an accelerator program, but also in a program for entrepreneurs and internal innovation. So in the past couple of years, our employees came forward, and with their ideas, we as a group were able to fund them to start and create ideas. Two of those today, one of them is called U-Beaut, which is mostly a clean beauty subscription model boxes, is booming during this time. And the other one, which is also called Wear That, which is also but a styling wardrobe, has shifted to say, you know what, you're at home, I'm going to keep the conversation going, and we're going to keep servicing you. So all of that was possible because of that backbone, and thank you, Ian, for that term, that backbone that we had put, and the mindset that we put in people of the organization, to become innovative, entrepreneurial, and really use it during these difficult times, and most hopefully way beyond that.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Rania. Yes, and we are very, very happy to actually have entered the Middle Eastern market through Chalhoub Group. it's a long-term relationship. And speaking about e-commerce, so you've mentioned that you've launched a few sites, right? And there is a huge uptick on e-commerce sales. So do you think generally in the Middle East, the retailers are ready for this increase of e-commerce, and not only from the perspective of customer experience, but also business model, basically supply chain, delivery, etc.?
I mean, that's a very good question, but I'd rather not speak on behalf of other retailers. I can speak about our experience. And I believe that, we have anticipated and we have evolved as a group because we've seen that this is what customers want. And we did it from a hybrid strategy because we believe that it's the full world of retail that works and not just one platform only, because you always have a relationship that still happens within the stores. And what we spoke about again, and this will come back for sure, is that the role of the store has changed, but the role of the store is still as important. You know, one of our concepts today called Level Shoes that now is engaging mostly on the .com has launched a solution called Hero that connects our customers that are browsing online directly with one of our salespeople in store and be able to have that human interaction, digitally. And we've seen, since we've launched it only a couple of weeks ago, already such a big interaction and conversion into sales, which tells you that innovation is not only online. But having said that, we do believe that e-commerce is going to be not only integral. Today, it was the main point of commerce for us, but it's going to accelerate much faster than what we anticipated. Now, is the ecosystem ready? That's an excellent question, because obviously not everything is rosy. All the statistics, and you've known from the Bain and Google statistics, we were talking about a certain level of penetration that has now, multiplied by 10, multiplied by a lot more. Was the ecosystem ready to handle this? I'm not sure. We still see that there's room for improvement when it comes to last mile. We see there's a lot of room for improvement in cross-border. We definitely see that there's improvement in payment methods. So there's a lot of pain points. But the great news is that the authorities and the economic departments are willing to engage and to evolve, and they're giving us all the support in order to have these very important pain points addressed.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thanks a lot, Rania. I would like to actually ask our audience another question. Whether you are ready or not for digital transformation, right? So could we please start the second poll?
Poll launched.
Exactly, great. So just answer the question, is your company ready for digital transformation? No, and we don't plan to invest more. No, and we do plan to invest more. Yes, we invested in digital transformation due to COVID. Yes, it is a long-term strategy for our company, or we are pure digital player, meaning that digital is your DNA and you even don't think how to be non-digital at all.
We've had about 120 of our audience who've taken it, so we'll just wait a few minutes.
Yeah, sure. And maybe while waiting, we can see our questions. So there is one question from Sohail Sarwar that asks actually, and please anyone who has the answer, feel free to comment. So which digital platforms are being used by Middle East retailers for improving digital experience of customers and internal workforce? It's about, yes, which digital tools, for instance, tools for customers. I think, Rania, you've spoken about Hero, right? For level. But then also for internal workspace, as people.
So would you like us to just type the answers so that you can continue? That way, maybe you want us to type back the answers, or do you want us to say them, Katia?
Yeah, sure. We can type them, of course. Yes, that's a great idea, Rania. And we can actually continue with the results of the poll. So Justina, can we maybe see the results?
Certainly. So I'm ending the poll and sharing results. Do you see it?
Okay. Yes. So that's a great news, actually, for more than a half of our audience. Digital transformation is a long-term strategy, meaning that we don't speak only about the reaction on COVID, but actually about putting up the clear guidelines how to become digitally savvy. And then the second largest response is yes, and we invested due to COVID. So COVID has become a trigger for the investment to digital transformation. The third answer is no, and we plan to invest more in digital transformation. So yes, I think for this part of the audience, our session will be the most useful one. And indeed, Brandquad is very happy to actually assist you with this digital transformation. We have 12% that are pure digital players. That it's fantastic also, meaning that actually, you know, offline retailers and brands can learn, you know, from pure digital players, and we will talk about it with Ian later. And only a mere 1% to people from our audience do not plan to invest more in digital transformation. And I do hope that after this session, maybe you will change your opinion, because nowadays digital is not a nice to have, but actually one key competitor differentiator that will possibly help your company survive within 2 or 3 years. So let's move forward. Phillip is back. So Phillip, going back to e-commerce, so could you please explain to us? So you are a retail operator with 700 retail stores and 6 e-commerce websites, and with a brand such as Naomi, The Body Shop, Lego, etc. So what was your challenge? You know, how did you drive e-commerce? What were your you know, key success factors, if you may, and how do you feel that COVID-19 changed, you know, your perception or your strategy towards e-commerce?
I think so. In terms of driving e-commerce, it was important for us to, you know, have harmonized technology across the group, because when you're trying to manage so many brands and you're building digital teams and e-commerce teams, it's quite important that not only is your technology scalable, but it's harmonized to a certain level so that your tech stacks and your architecture doesn't get too messy. So last year we decided to harmonize our e-com tech stack. So all of our brands, although they're fully independent in terms of their e-commerce stores, so they've got their own e-commerce stores, they're not interconnected with any other brand. We harmonized the tech stack, so that enabled us to have scalability and move at speed. So basically last year, yeah, we launched 5 of our brands onto the new tech stack. We've got 2 more brands coming online this year. So one is Lego, and the other one is one of our homegrown brands called Moda. So yeah, e-commerce for us is like a huge importance. You can see that by our investment over the last sort of 18 months. But when COVID came around, we realized that, you know, okay, our tech stacks are scaling really well. But obviously we had a lot of operational pain points, because we actually grew versus last year 2,900% in e-commerce. So, you know, for us to handle that operationally is a huge challenge. What we tackled it really well, to be honest, because obviously we had a lot of stores that were closed, and we did have a lot of people that were at home. So as things like customer service and our fulfillment was stretched to the maximum, what we've done, we really wanted to try and redeploy people and try and get them engaged in e-commerce as well. So we kind of used it as an opportunity to get some of our brand teams and our store staff involved in e-commerce. And I think what's happened is not only has it forced us to scale our operations, which we were already doing, we were already planning, but it was over a longer time period. We've done that in a very short time period now, but it's also opened up an opportunity to get more of our traditional teams and staff involved in e-commerce. So COVID has really accelerated the bonding, I would say, between digital and traditional retail. I think as we move through this year, we've taken a conscious decision that we want to invest even heavier in e-commerce in terms of acceleration. Reason being, we you know, what we're seeing is more and more people in the region are taking the shift to e-commerce and online now. And again, because they've had to, they couldn't go to the shopping malls. So there's a lot of new users online. You know, there's a lot of new people to online shopping. You know, the last couple of months, it's the first time they've ever shopped online. So all of a sudden, our new user base online is huge. Even if they've not shopped with us, you know, the user base online is huge. So we want to make sure that we you know, take as many of those users and bring them to our brand as possible. We've also noticed that shift that our traditional store customers, yeah, for sure, they're shopping with us online now. So you've also got that shift of, you know, our traditional shoppers that would only go to our store are kind of turning into hybrid customers now. So, you know, for us, e-commerce, I would say in a nutshell, what we were planning to do in a 12-month period, we've done it in a 2-month period. So it's really accelerated for us.
Oh, that's fantastic. And, you know, I've been approached by different brands and retailers who were purely offline, and now they wanted to do exactly what you're doing, you know, to go in online, either building their own e-commerce websites or distributing across different e-retailers. So what would be your advice, you know, like 3 steps, maybe 3 major things for brands that want actually to go online? How operationally, maybe not only in terms of, you know, like online, but maybe logistics, delivery, etc. What would be your 3 main pieces of advice for them?
I think when it comes to the e-commerce site itself, I think, you know, these days there's so many scalable options out there. You know, sort of 15 years ago, you just had to build your own website and sort of scale it yourself. Now you've got, you know, whether you're a small retailer or a large retailer, you can put yourself online relatively quickly. But what's important is as you're kind of building your website, whether that be a light version of a website, you know, that you're spinning up yourself, or whether you're investing heavily in an enterprise platform, the important thing is that you make sure that, okay, you've got to accept that once you step into e-commerce, it's a forever thing. You know, you don't just build a website and leave it live. You know, that's just the very, very beginning. Once the website is live, a lot of people think, oh my God, they've built this website. You know, it was a lot of hard work, which it is, and you know, it's finally live and it's done now. But it's not. That's the start. You need to constantly develop your website. You need to add new features. You need to add new experiences. So from the platform itself, just don't think that, you know, building the site and leaving it there is you know, job done. I think operationally, again, try if you haven't got your own operations, then use third parties, ones that are scalable and variable. You know, obviously the couriers are the most obvious example of that, because you pay them per order and they you know, can be scalable with you. So you know, as you scale, so that's an obvious example. But the least obvious examples is maybe when you're bringing in new services or new features. Look for providers that maybe offer you free versions or light versions, so you can test them out. You know, like I said in the beginning, you need to test, learn, and iterate. And what one retailer is doing online might not work for you. So don't just go and overinvest in loads of features, loads of functionalities which you don't know are right for you and your customer. So try and find the technology that scales with you. So you could go from a free version to a light version to an enterprise version and grow with it. I think the other thing is communication. Never underestimate communication with e-commerce, because obviously when people haven't got that face-to-face interaction, you need to invest heavily in communication, you know, whether that's offering channels like WhatsApp or whether that's putting chats on your website. One of the very first things we've done in 2019 was completely overhauled our group communication. And partly was because of e-commerce. You know, we introduced a platform called Zendesk, and we did exactly the same. We scaled it. You know, we started off with just 2 people on the platform, and now we've got our entire group on there with thousands of people. You know, it's just about just make sure you're communicating with the customer. You consolidate your communication channels, because there's so many communication channels now. It's not just about email and telephone. You've got WhatsApp, you've got Facebook Messenger, you've got comments in social media. So you need to consolidate your communication channels and manage it efficiently. So I think, yeah, from, you know, the running theme through those 3 things that I just said is, yeah, just make sure you can start in a small way, and then grow.
Yeah, fantastic. I hope that this would be very useful for our audience. Is there anyone else who would like maybe to give a piece of advice for those who start their e-commerce activity? Maybe Isobel. Yes, I was thinking about you.
Hello, very interesting discussion on different aspects of retailer. We actually Magrudy's launched its first website in 1998. So we have had a website for a very long time. I think we were the first in the UAE, and I can remember that we won an award, and someone, I think it was my son, had to go to Cairo for the award ceremony. And that was at a stage when no one was really using digital in the way Amazon was in the early 1990s. But I sort of felt right from the beginning that this was going to be the future for all retailers. And they used to call it, I don't know if they still do, clicks and mortar. So where you have a physical shop and you have the clicks. And we've done clicks and collect very successfully across the 7 or 8 stores across the UAE. We also have deliveries, and I think one of the things that everyone has said is about the human interaction. So we have a team of experts they're the core team. They've been with Magrudy's maybe 20 plus years. So they've got a huge amount of knowledge and expertise on the various products we carry. And so we offer that service both as an online chat service, but also you can just phone up and get advice. You know, I want this, what do you think? Would this be right? And so on and so forth. So that has been hugely helpful. Moving from when, you know, the majority of shops have been closed, that we were able to sort of scale that up quickly, make sure that those people who have got that expertise were there to answer phone calls and offer that personal customer service, which Magrudy's has always had as its sort of backbone, really, of why people come to Magrudy's, because they have a trust in what the experience will be. And as an entrepreneur, I've always felt that you have to understand what you're trying to say to your customer. What are you trying? So the same goes for e-commerce. Whatever format you use, you have to be strong in your message to the customer. So our message has always been, we are for family. Our motto in Arabic is from our family to yours, and in English it's bringing you only the best, although it would be the same in both, really. So it's always been, we focus on good quality educational toys, where it's toys and books, again, across the whole range. And you can't be all things to all people. So you've got to say, who's my audience? Whether it's digital or whether it's physical or whether it's a combination. And then be true to that, be true to what you have said and try and stick with it. So customer service is hugely important. And all of us, we're human beings, we make mistakes. We need to be sure that all of the people that represent us put their hand up and say, I'm really sorry, we got it wrong. You know, that product was not right, or we delivered it late, or whatever. And I think it's that personal connection, however you deliver it, which I would say is really important for any retailer, no matter what route they go down.
Thank you very much, Isobel. That was very insightful. So, Justina, maybe we can go to a few questions now from the audience.
Sure. Okay, let's start with one of our attendees, Francisco Gonzalez. He's asked, he's from Konik, and he's asking, what are the marketing plans to engage customers leading up and following reopening? How do you plan to engage customers with relevant information? Probably he's asking for a lot, but would somebody like to answer this? Would any of our retailers? Yeah, please.
Yeah,
please go on.
I think it's about being adaptable right now. We're constantly changing our communication. You know, the situation is changing all of the time, whether it be from, you know, lead times in deliveries or stores opening or closing. So yeah, it's about, you know, it's about being able to change and react quickly. You know, just today we're talking about how do we communicate, you know, with over Eid. Yeah, for sure, we might get communication on close downs and operational hours of third parties, but third parties are changing their support as well as we move along. So we need to, again, like I say, you know, keep strong on our communication, whether that be messages on the website, whether it be through some of our marketing channels, or whether it be through you know, WhatsApp, SMS or email. We need to keep changing. So whereas, you know, your communication and your marketing messaging used to be very well planned, now you've got to change week on week, day on day. So what's important is that the teams can react quickly to those changes, and it's important that the team can think and regroup quickly to change their marketing. Now, it's not just about, obviously, e-commerce or stores opening and closing. We've got situations now where, obviously, the original marketing calendars to certain products is now changing. Our stores were shut, so, you know, your product cycle and your product roadmap has changed. So again, you need to adapt to that product roadmap again. So I think it's about, yeah, just staying agile, being able to regroup on a regular basis, and yeah, be fast in terms of turnaround time in your digital assets and your communication channels.
Thank you, Philip. Another question I'd like to take, which just came in from Patrick Fellman. So he's asking, just bear with me. Patrick Fellman from Umdash, the store makers, he's asking, how do you think in-store the changing room experience needs to transform due to new hygiene standards? I believe Umdash is currently planning to launch a new fitting room system that kills 99.9% bacteria, which is not in use. Do you think there is a market for solutions like this now and also later when business goes back to a new normal? Would one of the retailers like to take this?
I was reading an article this morning exactly about this, that restaurants and retail stores will have these units within them that not only sterilize the fitting rooms, but sterilize any garments that are tried on by using ozone. So it kills 99% of any virus and bacteria. Absolutely. I mean, you know, I don't think any of us would want to go and try on clothes thinking someone else might have tried them on who could possibly have COVID. So I think this is going to be a huge requirement for any retail outlets that have things you try on. So clothing, any type of garment place, but also in Europe, it would be restaurants where people put their coats and things like that, that you'd want to be sure that they were sterilized. And in the home, people who wear suits, which will not be washed every single time, might want to sterilize using ozone. Ozone is a very good system for using in swimming pools. A lot of swimming pools have ozone filters that kill all bacteria. So I think it's a great thing. I don't know about any of the other panelists. What do you all think?
Well, we are slightly short of time, so I will take the answer. We were speaking about restaurants. So basically, a few days ago, I went to a restaurant here and in a hotel, and in order to enter the hotel, I was put into this shower room, you know, that actually sprinkles some antibacterial or antiviruses liquid to you. Well, it's a very interesting customer experience, to be honest. So I'm very looking forward to see how it will be implemented in our stores. And going to the topic of food and beverage, so it's actually a very good transition to our next part, which is digital transformation going beyond e-commerce. So I would like to invite Ian Ohan from KRUSH Brands to join me with the discussion. So Ian, your company, can you please tell us more about your business model, which actually has the digital in its DNA? So basically, you are a pure digital player, right?
Yeah, so we sort of unwittingly became tech experts because we were in the delivery business before delivery it was a thing. And what we realized very early on is the clear touch point with our customers, the digital experience. And so what we did after a lot of experience of looking at third-party companies and third-party platforms, we realized that nobody could provide us with what we wanted exactly. And the pace at which other companies were developing their software was much slower than we wanted to move. So we ended up developing our own, I started my own company with 2 partners. So we've got our in-house development team, and they only develop for us. And we started building our own digital platform. So we are a full stack company in the sense that we own our online ordering, which is much more than online ordering. It is in fact our backbone, but the customer sees that. We own our operations. We don't pay franchise fees. We own our brands, and we own our delivery fleet. So we have an end-to-end solution, so we can control the entire customer experience. The technology is what holds all of those things together, and so everything is plugged into that platform. So you know, we know where so we can in real time see everything in our business, and that's absolutely critical. And some of our fellow panelists have talked about, you know, the technology is not there for technology's sake. It's there to serve our customers, and you know, and that means operating well. You know, being able to measure everything within our business, because we are essentially a logistics company. And so this platform has been growing. We launched it in 2015, and we just keep building. And I think what's interesting is I think Phillip talked about having a homogeneous system or harmonized system. We have a very harmonized system, so we can move very quickly. Our developers have built something that's very powerful, and everything we do is based on this platform, and we plug into this platform, and it's so that we operate better, we have greater connectivity with our customers, and this isn't about delivery and restaurants. This is about staying in constant contact with our customers and being able to serve them where they want to be served, when they want to be served, and how they want to be served. And I think the companies that are going to win in the future are the ones that can bridge those gaps the best and give complete convenience and excuse the pun, freedom, you know, to their customers about how they can interact with your company in a seamless way.
And could you possibly give a precise example? So basically you said that customer experience and data, so data actually helps you to improve customer experience, right? And to cater to the needs of your consumers anywhere at any time. Could you please give us precise examples of tech that actually enabled you to improve your customer experience? So
a real simple thing on that is we have a customer feedback module that we built in our back end. So what that does, and that's all of these modules that we're building just continue to grow and become more sophisticated. But on a very basic level, it allows our customers to communicate with us in real time about anything that's going on, whether they're waiting for an order, they want something, they want to give us a compliment, they want to, whatever so our platform basically takes that feedback from our customers, feeds it back to our senior team members. We can click on that on the back end. We can, from a mobile phone, we can click on that, see exactly what's happening with that customer, know everything about that customer, where the order is, all of those types of things, and respond in real time to the customer. So our average response time is about 3.5 minutes to a customer. If there's service issues, it tends to be quicker. We get a lot of compliments, which is nice, and so we deprioritize those, but we do respond to each and every one. But what that allows us to do is we actually log every single customer complaint or things that they like, didn't like, or questions, and we categorize them, and we can then analyze it by store. So we can look at the performance, and so we can use those comments to constantly improve what we're doing.
Yeah, that's very interesting, and I believe that you've got this notoriety, you know, as a digitally savvy player in food and beverage industry. And you've told me that actually you have been approached, you know, during the COVID-19 pandemic, you've been approached by different F&B players that actually want to go online. So how did this conversation go, and what was your advice, and how did you help them, or?
Yeah, so since this pandemic started, we've been approached by I spent about 30% of my time during the first few weeks responding to very interesting companies and interesting players that were interested in our technology and what we did, because we have our whole value chain. And the discussions ranged from, we'd like to use your app, to but they typically started with a very, you know, we want revenue now, and how can you help us do that? The discussions would start like that, but then they would quickly evolve into this more digital transformation discussion, which we're part of today. And so, and they've started to understand how the business model works, and how that it's really an all-encompassing, you know, technology and online ordering, marketplace. These are all elements of a broader strategy, but no single one will solve all your problems. So the discussion really started to grow that way, and it sort of grew across. But it has evolved into certain, you know, we are for the first time starting to work with third-party companies on the tech side and even on the delivery side. So we brought on a local chef, which is part of our business model, who actually, it's a chef, Paul Frangi, who he's had 2 restaurants here, and obviously COVID had a big impact. He has a restaurant called Happy. So we moved Paul into one of our kitchens. We're doing his delivery for him now, and we'll have his online platform up and running early next week. And so that's, you know, that was a real tangible thing of what we did. And what we're able to do is extend our platform to others on a much more economical basis and a very fair basis. And we talk about customer data being shared, not owned by us or a third party. You know, we treat Paul's business as our own and his customers as our own, because it's all part of our platform. We're launching a pilot project with I won't say the name of it yet, because it'll be in a couple of weeks, but we're launching a pilot project with a very high quality coffee concept, or bakery concept. And so that'll be going live shortly as well. And again, leveraging our delivery, our platform, and there's a few phases to that pilot. So we've got a few, and we're talking to others about just pure software as a service model, because our platform is built quite strong. And if we can, you know, we're taking on certain clients now that have scale, that we consider strategic to what we're doing. But it is an interesting conversation, because it starts very often from the reaction to COVID-19. So there's I'm awake now, I get it, I need to do something. But then it starts to, you know, progress into a much more meaningful discussion about digital transformation, and a greater understanding that it's not an app, it's not a marketplace, it's a much greater. And these are big companies that are struggling and wrestling with how to do this. So a lot of those conversations are continuing on, but yes, it's been fascinating, and in some ways, some of these big companies, it's surprising how far away they are from this knowledge base. And it's, you know, it's actually it's surprising, because they have all the real estate, they have all the power, they have all the money, but they're behind on the tech side. And I think, but there's great opportunities because people are awake. So I just hope they stay awake when COVID-19 is in our rearview mirror.
Yeah, I also agree with you. We see as Brandquad different, you know, stages of digital transformation. And actually, I feel that, you know, the bigger the company is, the more they need assistance because of many aspects. But what is the key success factor is the leadership, the support from the executive management. And it's not about the short-term, you know, return on investment. It's really understanding that without digital or without big data analytics, if you may, you won't be here in 5 years. It's the matter of existence than pure financial returns.
Yeah, and I think we had a discussion about that yesterday, and what it really, I mean, what's, you know, the idea of return on investment, as soon as somebody starts talking to me, how can I justify the return on investment for doing X? I know that they're not in the right place, because they have to understand that this is a strategic long-term investment, and it's not one activity, it's actually your business. and you don't look for a return on investment on on other elements within your company. So this isn't something you just put in a basket and go like, what does this do for me? And also the whether it's the shareholders, the board of directors, especially for these larger companies, they actually have to have a long-term support for what companies are doing, and they have to recognize that there's not one single activity that is going to make this transformation where they're all going to go, we did it, right? And you can look at companies, there's very few companies in the world that have actually taken this on and then in my business, I look at companies like Panera. They basically went through a full digital transformation, own their end-to-end solution, and their sales have been much higher than their peer group for the last 3 or 4 years. And that's continuing to grow. So this is a long-term strategy. And as you said, 5 years from now, this isn't a matter of, return on investment. This is a matter of being here, because this is an opportunity with COVID-19 for the companies that are going to invest. This is an opportunity over time to really take market share. And we talked about how many, businesses aren't going to be here after COVID-19. They were probably businesses that were outdated already. And so if you look at them today, think about 5 years from now, who is that group going to be 5 years from now? They're going to be the people that didn't, start this journey right now. And I think, and so don't think that you're immune to this if you survive it. You're going to be the next victim if you don't become part of this technology wave.
Yeah. Maybe Rania and Phillip, you can comment on this. Rania?
Sorry. Yeah, this is definitely, I'm very aligned with what Ian is saying. I think that digital has become part of the operating system of organizations, and it is not a project or a program. And I think also Phillip mentioned, you don't just launch a site or you don't just launch a program. And there's always that mindset, again, from the tech world, when you move the conversation from a project to product, because a product is a continuously evolving, thing. And at the end of the day, the word transformation, and I've spoken about this before, needs to change, because you're not transforming, you're evolving, and you're going to continuously be evolving. And digital has given us the chance to become a lot more data-driven, a lot more agile, and giving us choices. And I think this is the change that really happened, but it really happened at the core of the way we operate as companies and as brands, and also the way that we engage as customers and as people. And that's a key point to the digital transformation.
Yep, and I believe at Chalhoub Group, you have a fantastic support from your leadership.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what's interesting about the way that our CEO and the rest of the leadership has taken on this initiative and this movement is that we don't even call it digital transformation, and we did start by calling it this, and a lot of people come to me talking to me about technology, and that is the least of my concern, to be honest. And there's an excellent Harvard Business Review article that was, what really works is the leaders that know how to use and how to engage with the tech product and the tech leaders in order to, to evolve. And our leaders, at first were taken, and I think many people within the industry, by pure digital and technology vocabulary or missions. And then at the end of the day, if you look at it today, what we're all trying to do is just solve the same thing that retailers have always tried to do. But now we have more options to do it, and we have more solutions to do it. And the data is something we need to embrace, because honestly, this is for any leader, it's heaven to be able to see, okay, wait, I can make a decision, and then I have all of these elements, to guide me. And I think that's the beauty of what digital has brought us, I think.
And I think if I can add to that, I think what's fascinating about both of our industries is that we're an industry that typically hasn't cared about customer data. So people come into our establishments and leave, and we have no idea who they are, and we have no way of connecting with them. So when they're not there, you didn't know why they were coming to begin with, and you didn't know why they stopped coming, and you didn't do anything to keep them and value that relationship. So that connectivity with the customer, to me, is at the root of absolutely everything that technology is about. And it's not technology for technology, it's technology to provide extraordinary value and convenience to the customer.
Yeah, you need to remember to start with the customer for sure. It's you know, if you're building technology products or you're building technical capabilities, if you're not looking at the end user, and that might not even be the customer, it might be an end user in your organization, whether it's a user interface or whether it's a consumer facing app. If you're not, you know, looking at the customer journey and the customer user stories and making sure that, you know, the customer experience is going to be right, you're going to have dormant technology as well. So what you need to do is for sure start with the customer. So many people start with the technology. What's the capability of the technology? And then we'll build that to fit to the customer. You can't do that. You need to, everything we do in terms of technology in our group, we make sure it's limitless. And the reason for that is because we need to make sure that if the customer needs something or one of our internal teams needs something, we need to make sure the technology can deliver that. And I think, you know, we've spent a lot of time building our product team the past 12 months. If larger organizations are not building their product teams to look after the customer, this is how I see it, the product teams look after the customer, then the technology either won't perform or it won't get used.
Yep, and I believe that Isobel from Magrudy also was speaking about this value proposition, the unique value proposition. And I believe, Isobel, your company, who was a direct competitor of Amazon and who survived it, you know, is a successful use case of actually how thinking about your customer first helps you to build up this competitive advantage that cannot disappear with whatever multinational come into the market.
Yeah, and I think you've got to have that fluidity, and you've got to be creative, you've got to be able to change. And one of the things that no amount of digitalization is going to help. If you do not have the product that your customer wants, forget it. Nothing, no technology is going to help you. So for example, just take the example of hand sanitizers and face masks. The prices on those, if you look on all digital websites, they have them. They might not have sold them before, but they're selling them because that's what customer wants. Suitcases, you may not need, sorry about the noise, that's my grandchildren in the background. You may not, they're my testers of toys, let me tell you. You may not need a suitcase in the, you know, in the next few months, but it will come back. So always be aware, as Phillip said, as you all have said, we are here for the customer, and technology is a means to an end. It is not the sort of the magic. It is a means to an end, and I'm a dinosaur, okay? I came to Dubai in 1968, pre-international telephones. There was no, we had telexes, then we had faxes, and then, we had the internet. So I have lived through all of that, but the actual, situation between the retailer and the customer, however you deliver it, remains the same. Value your customer, give them what they want, and give it to them in the best possible manner.
Yep, and I have two specific questions about your business model, Isobel, actually.
Yes.
So the first one is that according to your customers, your delivery charges remain very competitive, even during the time of COVID. So how do you manage to keep your charges attractive to customers? Do you partner with any last mile delivery companies?
Yes, so we use a variety of, we have all sorts of equations for how we get the delivery there as quickly as possible. So we have an online, very stable online business, as I said, for the last 20 years. We use couriers, we use our own services, depending on how quickly a customer needs it. And we took the decision when the shops closed, we wanted our customers to still be able to buy the products they wanted. So we, in many cases, did deliveries completely free because we realized that they are in a difficult position and they are our loyal customers. So how can we help them? So we managed to do that. And we were very lucky that we have our flagship shop in Jumeirah, standalone shop. We were able to open it before the things, and we had some of our staff would go out. You didn't even need to come into the shop. They would come out in their mask and gloved hands, and they would deliver something directly to your car, so you were as safe as we possibly could help you. You know, I'm a mother and I'm a grandmother, and so I'm always concerned, and 3 of my daughters are in the medical profession, so I'm always thinking about people's health and safety. And that's where I've come from through the whole of my journey as an entrepreneur, is I try to put myself in as a customer, and I'm a very difficult customer. So if I can satisfy me, maybe I can satisfy you.
That's fantastic. And not only you are thinking about health, but also you are thinking about sustainability. Because if I don't mistaken, you are one of the first actually publishers who propose on-demand publishing that actually helps drastically to reduce the cost of non-sold inventory. Could you please explain to us how do you do this with the tech?
Yes, well, it's with a third party, so it's print on demand, and we've tied up with the leading sort of wholesalers in terms of books around the world, both in US and UK, and that technology has been around for at least 5 years, if not more. And so any book that you want, they can print it. So it means that our inventory goes to probably 4 million. So we can provide any customer with any title in the English language that's in print. And if it's not in print, it can be printed on demand. We don't have to hold that stock, but we can get it in a very short space of time. And we invest, that's one of the technologies that we've invested in back into the early 2000s, and it's Nielsen Book Bank. So this is an expensive database, but we buy it because without it, our hands are tied. With it, you can come into any Magrudy's, or you can phone up and say, I want this book. It's about a penguin. And we can use this software to actually give you, well, is it this one? Is it this one? Which model? Is it a Braille model, large print, audio? What do you want? And then we can help you. So that kind of, for our particular retail business, is really useful.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Isobel. Well, we are running out of time now. So I believe it's actually the time to go to the final remarks from our speakers. So, well, thanks a lot for your insights. And can you please give some, as a last word, some actionable guidelines for companies who wish to improve their customer experience with digital tools? So, Ian, maybe we can start with you.
So my advice is to what we've discussed in the past is to start with your customer. So everything that we do is for the customer. And if you start at that place, that's a great place to start. But in order to serve the needs of that customer, you have to do so many things well in the background. And that's what we do as businesses. So aligning the back end to serve the customer at its finest, you know, at the pinnacle. You can't serve the customer if not everything is set up, if not everything is aligned properly. So the technology is that backbone that helps you constantly think about your customer first. That's the job of all technology, in my view. Without that, it's just technology for technology's sake.
Thank you, Ian. Rania?
I mean, there's so many answers I can give you, but I think I would say listen to your customer service data. You know, the data that is not qualitative but quantitative, but also listen to the qualitative. And I think a very strong customer service team should be at the core of the actions linked to evolving your operations and constantly, and have weekly reviews of what happened last week and what can we do to review that. And I can't remember who said that, but yes, definitely, they are the team that is suffering the most with the scale that we were having to go through. But what they tell us gives us a lot of very actionable things to put forward. In the past, I remember a lot of people would say, I'd speak to my salespeople, you know, they are the best. The closer you are to the floor, the more you know what we need to do. Today, that can be done at scale. So that's something our head of data and analytics talks about, the fact that now at scale, you know, we need platforms and we need, you know, some skills, but what are we trying to find out? The same thing. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. Isobel?
Yes, I think I always come back to, if you want to use digital technology, if it's something as a retailer you're going into maybe for the first time, think about your own experiences that you've had using, you know, phoning up an online provider. What did you like about it? What worked for you? What didn't work? Was it an easy journey? Was it intuitive? I think all of those things will help you. You're thinking about your product, and do check out the competition. I'm talking about globally. Look what other people are doing, because why would you go back to right to the beginning when you can check other things, you can make your own mind up, that would work for my product, that works for my brand. So it's, you know, the internet is free, it's there for all of us to benefit from.
Thank you very much, Isobel. Phillip, your last word.
Yeah, even without COVID, you know, customer behavior these days changes rapidly. You know, what customers were doing 6-12 months ago, they might not be doing now. So yeah, for sure, you need to listen to the customer, whether that's through customer service or reviews, etc. But I think monitoring customer behavior as well to get ahead and think ahead of those shifts and predict what might happen in the customer behavior is really important. We're investing very heavily this year in our data transformation so that we understand our customer better. And I think it's critical. Yeah, you need that direct feedback from the customer, but you need to also be able to predict what the customer is going to do next.
Yep. Thank you very much, all. So from my perspective, I also have 3 last points to say. So first of all, digital is not a reaction to COVID, but actually a long-term journey. And you should think ahead, you know, not just set up something like an e-commerce website for the next 1 or 2 months, because this website will remain. And actually, if it's not good, it can deteriorate your customer experience and your brand also in longer term. So it is indeed a trial and error process that requires a vision that would drive change. The second point is that you need a leadership and the support of the senior management to instill data-driven and customer-centric culture in retail business models. And of course, we've seen today either by entrepreneurs themselves, like Isobel and Ian, or by the representatives of retail groups like Phillip and Rania, that leadership is one of the key success factors to drive digital transformation. And the last but not least point is that you should start with very specific use cases. So basically introduce data analytics tool into your merchandising and planning processes, or automate your e-commerce management processes, such as product data preparation for online listing, for instance. And once you win these small battles, you can actually further deploy more complex tech tools, such as conversational chatbots online, or price comparators, or even AI-driven product suggestions. So start small, specific use cases, win the battle, and move forward. And of course, at Brandquad, we are very happy to help you in this challenging and highly rewarding journey. Well, thank you very much. Now I give the floor to Justina.
Thank you, Katia. What an amazing discussion. There are so many questions, but I'm trying to pick a few. So let's take from Ajay Ganti. He's asked, and he specifically mentioned Rania. So if Rania, you could look into this. He's asking, do you see a change in choices made by the consumers while going from brick to click?
Okay, yeah, the latest question that everybody's saying, the change in behavior to COVID. So I think that Katia at the beginning of the conversation used one of the quotes that we were, you know, that I have always talked about, that you can't compete with price and proximity when it comes to online. And at the beginning, you know, a few years ago when we started having our .coms, we were all trying to create the same world that we had offline on online. And what we discovered is that it's absolutely not possible. And then we started really embracing the idea of hybrid, of saying, you know what, That's the choice. We give the customer so many choices. What you can do offline, you can't do online, and vice versa. So why not use everything that we have in our hands? And our strategy still is our strategy. Obviously, we need to go through this recovery phase, but really, how do we make our brick and mortar the hub for experience and for human-to-human interaction? And how can we use our tools online in order for us to be able to give you all the convenience that you need when you're sitting at home? And how to break and create this bridge between these two. And again, that's probably a PhD on its own that everybody's still trying to fully figure out. But I think it's really just taking it a step at a time and creating the ecosystem that you need for your teams to create the most holistic, relationship that you can with a 360 integration to the same customer, and not speak to that customer differently or separately on each channel when possible.
Thank you, Rania. Would any of the other retailers like to comment on this question?
I think, in terms of the customer going from offline to online, we do need to focus on that. But also there's the retention of the hybrid customer as well. I've seen time and time again the last 10 years that the omni-channel customer, the value, whether it be the average transaction value, their frequency of purchase, they're always more valuable. Generally your e-commerce only customers are probably not your most valuable, because basically a lot of them might buy on discount or at Black Friday or et cetera, and they might not come back. And then your retail customers are generally more valuable than the pure e-com. But when you take that hybrid customer and look at the value of them, yeah, for sure, you've got so much motivation to try and make people come from bricks and mortar to online and vice versa.
Thank you, Phillip. I think we have time for just one more question. So very quickly, keeping people at the heart of every business. This is one for whoever would like to come forward and talk about it. Mohammed Sajid Sheikh asks, how are you dealing with the situation of people when you are transforming from brick and mortar to digital? How are you coping with people management? Would anybody like to answer this?
I was going to say that you have to look at the innate potential and talent within your team. So we've had people at Magrudy's who started in one role and they've progressed into 3 or 4 different roles because they've got that potential. So we always advertise internally before we advertise externally, and you need to give people the training they need then to make that transformation or make that come on that journey with you, because online still has a huge demand for human beings, whether it's customer service, whether it's online, whether it's delivery, whether it's warehousing, whether it's buying, whether it's graphics, marketing. All of those tools are as needed and for hybrids, you can spread your talent across both sides of the business.
Thank you, Isobel. Anybody else who would like to comment on this?
Yeah, just to add to that, yeah, we do look for a hybrid. Let's say, some of our teams, they derive from traditional retail, but we also bring in really well-seasoned talent from anywhere in the world, really, when it comes to digital. So the challenge is how do you obviously merge those two worlds? And I think it's about adaptability and again going back to the teams being adaptable and willing to change the way they work, the way they process things. I think it takes a lot of time, obviously, to convince everyone, especially when you're in a large organization. But I think when you've got the backing by the leadership, particularly whether that be from the chairman, the CEOs, that really helps. If people can see that this is the new way of working and the leadership championing that, then you'll find a lot of people will come on board. And that's luckily what we've got in our organisation. Our chairman and our board really do champion digital and merging the two worlds together. And we found that, you know, both teams, whether it be people from a pure digital background or from a pure retail background, they are working together, they are merging, and it's been relatively successful. But I think in terms of next steps, you know, you do need to look at restructuring from time to time, and how do you structurally merge those two worlds together. So there's a whole mindset piece there, and there's also a structural piece there.
If I could just add to that, one of the things that we do, that's we actually build our products around our teams. So, and we connect our development teams directly to our operating teams, because the tech is part of everything we do, as is marketing. So we have a very flat structure, and a simple tool. And I think I saw Rania, you talked about using Microsoft Teams. We use Asana and we use Slack, but the way we communicate is very important, because we can rally around tasks and everyone has their input, but a big part of a lot of the tasks is technology. So to allow our team to interact directly with our tech people and vice versa, as sort of as a unified approach, as a task-based approach, it really gets them on board, and they understand, because they can influence things and they can do things that we can do things for them that help them in their jobs, and that's pretty exciting.
Amazing. Thank you, Ian.
And I'll add to this, because I know this is the last question, but you know, we're very, very passionate about the people subject. And I think that at the beginning of our transformation, you know, we brought in a lot of digital talent. And, you know, what I learned today is that it's absolutely needed to get certain skill sets, but we underestimated the capacity and the willingness for our traditional teams to actually not only be upskilled, but be part of the change. And where we're saying, once we started democratizing technology and bringing tech closer to the actual end user, what we've realized is, at the end of the day, the end user is also our customer. So they are also always on their mobile, and they are also shopping online. And if today we don't create the tool, you know, that they're going to engage with, they're never going to use this technology. And through that, change management becomes extremely important, and they're the ones that will actually let either the startups or our tech teams understand if this is going to actually solve the solution or not. So as a group, we have introduced gaming into our frontline, and, you know, as an education tool, and it's working so well. The HR team has launched, you know, an app in order to increase engagement and to do a lot of, you know, things around this. And with COVID, more than, you know, anytime, we've engaged all the teams to work on digital. So that was a big learning for me as the head of transformation, you know, after 3 years on this, to say, you know what, it's not only the tech geniuses that can actually transform the business. It's, you know, a hybrid combination of both, as Phillip said as well.
Amazing. I think everybody who joined us and all of you speakers, I think everybody would like to thank you, because the conversation has been rather insightful. We're very grateful from the team at Images RetailME. Thank you once again, Brandquad. Katia, you were amazing. And I think this was a great conversation. We hope to continue this with our next session of Roundtable soon.